In terms of Novato and California as a whole, I mean, clearly there are cities, for instance, in the Central Valley that have been really slammed by the recession. We, I believe, have been hurt more than most cities in the Bay Area. And partly that's because we weren't formed until 1960, and we're not a charter city, and not all cities are created equal with how they get all of their revenues. So a number of our revenues are significantly lower than neighboring cities. We don't have the waste hauler franchise, for instance, and our neighbors get money from that as well. Over the last 10 years, the state has taken more than $15 million.
Now, is that a loan, or do we get to recoup that money at some point?
We do not get to recoup it, and it is not a loan. It is taken from us
is that
by
a federal
the state.
Law?
No,
that authorizes them to?
No, it has nothing to do with the federal government. The state government has certain revenues go through the state government, and the legislature and the governor have the ability to appropriate various monies of the city. Now, November 2nd, we're going to the ballot with a temporary half-cent sales tax. That, because it's enacted locally, if it is enacted locally by our residents, it comes directly to us. The state doesn't get any of it, and they can't swipe that. San Rafael is already at 9.5, and there are other communities. Santa Rosa is 9.25, and they have a measure on their ballot to go to 9.5. Rona Park, Cotati. There are a number of other communities that have been struggling like we have, and have increased their local sales tax to help them through this recession that we're going through. In terms of things that aren't sales, it would be treated the same as any other sales tax. So you don't pay sales tax when you go to the grocery store for food. You don't pay sales tax on prescription drugs. All the basics that people, for instance, that are low income need are generally not charged sales tax. Public needs to understand. One is that this is really a choice for the community, a significant choice. The city has been reducing its budget for a number of years. I mean, if we look over the last 3 years, over $6.5 million in reductions. As a city, we are now down to staffing levels from 1997. And during that same period, since 1997, the community has grown by about 13%. So one of the questions I think that the public should be asking with regard to this choice and whether they would consider passing this half-cent sales tax is, what has the city done to tighten its own belt? I'm tightening my belt at home. What has the city done to make sure it's running as efficiently and effectively as possible? And we've been doing that, even before I arrived, but since I've arrived, City Council reduced our staffing by 20%, and we have been looking at the way we do business. Our employees have stepped forward, and concessions from employees number in the multi-million dollars. So at this point, because of all the reductions we've made, there is literally nowhere else to go that won't severely impact people's service levels. And we're talking about, we've got the police building over there, we're talking about public safety. Already we have cut police officers, we no longer have a crime prevention program. We cut the police officers in our schools, our school resource officers. So we're not talking about that or fluff or programs that aren't core mission of the organization. So it's the choice for the community is what level of service do they want. The businesses downtown, understandably, some businesses are struggling more than others, and so they're nervous about any impact that an increased sales tax might have on their business. The Chamber of Commerce has come out endorsing the measure. The Chambers have been very involved with the reductions and the budget process the city's been going through the last year. So they have a big picture about what's going on, and they have a real sense of what these next set of reductions which will need to take place if there isn't a revenue measure, what impact that will have on the community life in the community and the business environment. And that's why they've come out as an organization endorsing the measure. The city's just been pounded with regard to its revenues. People aren't spending money. The credit crisis, real estate, drop in real estate prices, all those things hit the city where it gets its money, and we provide services. That's what we do. We take care of the parks. We take care of public safety in our community. We have our senior center. All those things I know the community values, and all those things will be at risk. The most important thing is for, I believe, residents, and that's why we're out providing public information, is for residents to truly understand what the issues are and what the choices that they face November 2nd. It's not a false choice, it's a real choice about the level of service they want in their community. And so it's really education. I would go to the city's website, which is cityofnovato.org. Right on the front, there's a Measure F link, so go there, and there's lots of information to get educated. Whether you're in favor of it or against, it's incumbent on all of us to understand the choice that's being made so that we're not surprised down the road, and to help our neighbors and the groups that we're involved in understand.